We are at that point of the offseason where it's nothing but rampant speculation about who's going to be the next 49ers defensive coordinator. As we know, it's been extremely quiet, almost too quiet. Like, are we sure that they're interviewing candidates? Because we hope so. And we've heard from multiple 49ers insiders and national reporters on their takes and their thoughts on who they believe is going to be the next 49ers defensive coordinator. And we've heard pretty much everything, all the way from internal candidates to the big dogs. It could be anyone. And, I think it's worth listening to these opinions, and especially from people who are close to the situation, I would say. And I look at Peter King, who joined 95.7 The Game to discuss this yesterday, and he gives two potential options of who the 49ers could go after. And it's Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. And he doesn't think that's out of the range of possibility. Now, we got a report earlier today from Mike Silver basically stating that, coaching circles believe it's going to be an internal hire for the 49ers. So it's definitely an interesting kind of back and forth. But I do think Peter King says some very interesting things. And let's take a listen, and then we'll kind of react to it on the other side.
Think about that next person. Are you imagining that they go with somebody inside the system, or does he try to reach out for maybe a higher profile head coach, former head coach, Vrabel, Carroll, Bill Belichick, bring in somebody with a little gravitas to maybe try to shore things up on a number of fronts?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, somebody told me who knows Belichick, and look, maybe things change because he's sitting out there unemployed now, and he knows that all he's going to do is have a soft job in the media, and who knows whether he'll ever have another chance. But I had heard that Belichick absolutely did not want to be a coordinator. Now, maybe times have changed. Can you imagine if Bill Belichick at age 72 comes in, makes all the difference with the Niners, forms a partnership, a bond with Bosa, with Warner, with Armstead, and basically they get this franchise over the top, and it leads for him to be the head coach of Team X next year. It'd be one of the coolest stories, maybe one of the coolest stories in NFL history. I mean, to me, how great would it be? But again, a guy actually is going to have to want to do that. I think a little bit, just a little bit of an interesting candidate would be Pete Carroll. And again, I have no idea if Pete would want to do it. It's an interesting thing because it's basically a defense that he is extraordinarily familiar with. And so, I don't know, those are interesting things, but I would have to know a little bit, which I don't know right now, of what exactly is going through Kyle Shanahan's mind as he's doing this. And I'm telling you, okay, like, remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the fact that Kyle Shanahan legitimately did reach out to Tom Brady and, wanted him to come in last off season to see if he would come out of retirement and, play for the 49ers this year. So, and look, Kyle wasn't volunteering that information. And probably nobody would have asked, the way I asked him on that drive to work a couple of weeks ago, nobody would have asked if Brock Purdy didn't volunteer the information to Nick Wagner before the end of the season. But again, and that's why I think I would not be shocked at all if Kyle Shanahan had picked up the phone and asked Belichick, hey, is this something you want to consider? Or to ask Pete Carroll, is this something you want to consider? Again, I don't know that happened, but a lot of things happen behind closed doors that we don't know until someone spills the beans about it.
To me, the whole Pete Carroll thing isn't crazy. It was a name that I first floated the second that Steve Wilkes got fired as a potential candidate because of his natural fit with what the 49ers are trying to do schematically. You look at the 49ers defense, they're running a Seattle cover 3 runoff of what Pete Carroll does. So that makes sense, right? They're trying to keep the scheme intact. They're trying to keep the same principles and things like, well, why not just bring in the guy who actually made that scheme popular? He is available. So that's why, to me, that's not a crazy thing at all. And I also look at it like a Richard Sherman situation because I've already seen the comments and talked to people, in my live chats when I brought this up. And it's the same thing that applies. It's, oh, he's Seattle. It's, don't bring him over here. But man, I remember floating the idea that the 49ers should sign Richard Sherman, and everyone lost their mind because of it's Richard Sherman. He is the 49ers enemy. Oh, like you wouldn't believe the comments that I got, basically just crucifying me for even bringing up the question. But then the second he was signed, the whole tune changed. Everyone was super open to it because they had to be. They finally realized, well, Richard Sherman's a 49er, and well, he's a good cornerback, so actually that's not a bad thing. He can help us. And they realized that Richard Sherman's a great player and was a great teammate and great leader within the locker room. So I don't see why something couldn't apply similarly to Pete Carroll. So I'm not worried at all about the Seattle thing. This is business, man. And if Pete Carroll's getting paid by the Niners, that means he's helping the Niners beat Seattle twice a year at minimum, potentially 3 times if you're talking about the playoffs. The whole thing with the Bill Belichick thing, it's all things that we've discussed as well. It's all things, the natural ties, the relationship. Again, the same theory applies. It's like, yeah, Bill Belichick probably doesn't want to be a defensive coordinator, but would he rather not coach? Would he rather sit on his couch and just kind of sit there at the age of 72 and not be in football for a year and then think he's going to get a head coaching job after that? Or, you know, tuck the pride a little bit, go be a defensive coordinator for a contender, potentially win a Super Bowl. And hey, if you want to be a head coach one more time, one more stop, kind of do the Brady thing, right? Where you go to another team, maybe bring them a championship and you're out of there just to kind of solidify your legacy and, create the separation between the Brady Belichick thing, who's the reason why they had their success. So, I find it interesting, and again, I think I'm of the belief though that it will be either a hire that we aren't necessarily anticipating, or maybe an internal hire. I like the idea of bringing in the big name. It's exciting, gets the juices flowing, makes you get excited about the potential because we know what they're coming with. But at the end of the day, that the perception isn't what matters. It's about fit. It's about how they fit into what Kyle wants to do and how that working relationship will work. So that could very well lead to being an internal hire, such as Chris Kosurik, Randy Bullocks, Sorensen. There's multiple options as well that the 49ers could turn to. So I'm just at the point where I hope I don't have to make too many more of these videos. I'm hoping that the next video that we make is the 49ers announcing who the defensive coordinator is so we can react to it. We can get hyped for it, or potentially try to walk you guys off the ledge if they name Brandon Staley, because I know how you guys feel about him. So I'm just at the point where, yeah, I'm ready. Let's figure out who this new DC is, and let's turn the page and really put last season behind us and look forward. So, what do you guys think about what Peter King had to say? Who do you guys think is the best option to be the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.